Today I would like to share a very personal story with you. With the help of these pictures, I would like to explain why this project is so important to me and why it has remained close to my heart for many years. Many of you know me from my time as parish priest in Eshelcombe. It was there that I had the opportunity to meet many wonderful people, including Isidore, who encouraged me to share this story. When I was asked what kind of project I would wish for in Tanzania, the answer came into my mind immediately. The reason is my own childhood. Whenever I think about children and education, I remember where I came from and the opportunities that changed my own life. I grew up in Tanzania under very simple circumstances. As a young boy, I spent many years serving in the church as an altar server. Because I was so involved in parish life, one day a priest came to our parish with application forms for a minor seminary. At that time, I was still attending primary school. To be honest, I could not read properly and I could not write properly. Learning was difficult for me. But despite these challenges, I was given an opportunity. I was accepted into the seminary, I continued my education, and eventually I became a priest. Looking back today, I realize that one opportunity changed the entire direction of my life. That experience has never left me. And as you can see in this picture, this was my school. This was the primary school I attended as a child, and whenever I see this building, many memories come back to me. The memories of my childhood, the difficulties I experienced, and the challenges faced by many children in Tanzania are still very present in my heart. That is why I would first like to tell you about primary schools in Tanzania and about the reality that many children still face today. Around the time of independence, in the early 1960s, the government promoted Swahili as a common language for the whole country. One of the ways this was done was by building primary schools throughout Tanzania. The main objective was to establish schools, regardless of how far they were from existing villages and communities. As a result, many schools were built in remote locations. The idea was that children from different regions would come together, attend school, and grow up sharing one common language, Swahili. If you look at the history of Tanzania, you will find the concept of Ujamaa behind this vision. It was an ambitious idea, but it did not always work as intended. Even today, many primary schools remain far away from the communities they serve. And it was exactly in this environment that I attended primary school myself. In the picture you can see the school building. At that time it had to accommodate around 450 children. There was a small administration office, a toilet block with 2 rooms, one for girls and one for boys, and a few classrooms. The teachers used the same facilities. There was also a small storage room. Proper roads did not exist. Children came from many different villages, and the school I attended was not located in my own village. I was among the fortunate ones. I needed about 1 hour to walk to school and 1 hour to walk home. For many other children, however, the journey was much longer. Some had to walk more than 2 hours each way, every single day. That was the reality of the school I attended and the environment in which I received my primary education. The next challenge was learning itself. Learning in such a primary school was very difficult. A typical classroom could have around 80 children. The rooms were overcrowded and there were simply too many pupils for one teacher. Sometimes heavy rain caused additional problems. Teachers who lived on the other side of a river were unable to reach the school because the rivers flooded and could not be crossed. When this happened, classes were simply combined. For example, first grade and second grade would be brought together in the same classroom, regardless of what subject was being taught. One teacher would try to manage all the children at the same time. If some children were not interested or wandered outside, nobody paid much attention. The teachers were doing their best just to get through the day. Under such circumstances, it was very difficult for a child to learn how to read and write properly. Imagine a classroom full of children, all trying to learn at the same time. Some children were listening. Some children were trying to follow the lesson. Others were struggling to hear the teacher. In such an environment, it was very difficult to give individual attention to any child. But overcrowded classrooms were only one part of the problem. There was another challenge: learning materials. Books were very scarce. As you can see in this picture, one book often had to be shared by several children. In many cases, one book was shared by 5 children. The child who happened to hold the book was fortunate. The others could only try to see the page from a distance. Sometimes they could barely read what was written. Sometimes they simply copied what they saw without really understanding it. And sometimes the child who had taken the book home did not come back to school the next day. Then there was one book less available for learning. That was the reality. Looking back today, I realize how fortunate I was. My sister wanted to become a religious sister, and she attended a convent school. Because of her, I had the opportunity to learn properly how to read and write. She helped me practice. She helped me improve. I learned many things from her. I also spent a lot of time in the church. We had a group for altar servers called St. Aloysius Gonzaga. As children, we learned many prayers there. We memorized prayers and copied them by hand. We wrote them down again and again. Through these exercises, I gradually learned how to write correctly and how to read better. Looking back today, I realize how important those moments were for me. Without my sister and without the church, learning would have been much more difficult. The church became a place where I could practice. It became a place where I could develop skills that were difficult to acquire in school. But despite that help, the overall situation remained very difficult. And there was another challenge. Children often had to travel long distances simply to reach the school. As you can see in the next picture, many children walked for a very long time every day just to attend classes. There was only one school serving many villages. Children had to travel long distances to reach it. The classrooms were crowded. Resources were limited. And this was the reality that I experienced during my years in primary school. Let me show you another example. This picture comes from a newspaper article published in 2023. At that time, a government minister came to inspect this bridge. The bridge connects several villages and communities. For the people who live there, this bridge is much more than a bridge. It is the connection between home and school. But when the rainy season comes, everything can change very quickly. Heavy rain causes flooding. The river rises. The water becomes stronger. And sometimes the bridge is washed away. When that happens, children living on the other side of the river can no longer reach their school. They are completely cut off. Some children still try to go to school because they are determined to learn. They take risks and try to cross rivers like these. But this can be very dangerous. In some places there are crocodiles. In other places the current is very strong. And many children cannot swim. For them, going to school can become a real danger to their lives. This is something that has remained deeply in my memory. I remember how many children wanted to attend school but simply could not get there. When I became a priest, these memories stayed with me. I often asked myself whether it might be possible to help create better opportunities for children like these. When this bridge is destroyed, more than 1,000 children lose access to education. More than 1,000 children. Just because they can no longer cross the river. The authorities may inspect the damage and repairs may eventually be carried out. But while that happens, the children are still missing lessons. In our region, especially between April and May, heavy rains and flooding occur regularly. The bridge may be repaired, but the same problem often returns the following year. And so many children continue to face obstacles simply because they cannot reach their classrooms. There is another danger as well. As you can see in this picture, many children have to cross busy roads in order to get to school. The school may be on one side of the road, while the children live on the other side. Every morning and every afternoon they have to cross these roads. Unfortunately, accidents happen again and again. Children are still young. They do not always recognize the dangers of traffic. They simply want to get to school. This is one of the reasons why we are thinking about building a school in an area where children can learn in a safer environment, closer to where they live. And when I think about the daily lives of these children, another challenge immediately comes to my mind. As you can see in the next picture, many children still have to fetch water every day. Before school there is water to collect. After school, there is water to collect. For many families, this is simply part of everyday life. Children walk long distances carrying containers, often before they even begin their homework or studies. This was also part of my own childhood. When I think back to those years, the first thing that comes to my mind is water. Water was part of everyday life. Early in the morning, before going to school, I had to walk to a pond and collect water for the family. I would carry it home and help around the house before starting my journey to school. After school, the work continued. There was more water to fetch, more water to carry, more responsibilities waiting at home. For many children in Tanzania, this is still part of everyday life. From morning until evening, a great deal of time is spent simply securing the necessities of daily life. When people ask why studying can be difficult, this is part of the answer. Children do not return home from school and immediately begin their homework. First, there is the long walk home. Then there is water to collect. There may be firewood to gather. Many homes still have no electricity. By the time all the daily work is finished, the child is already tired. And the next morning the same routine begins again. Because of this, many children have very little time for learning outside the classroom. Unfortunately, many children never receive the educational foundation they need. As they grow older, some leave their villages and move to larger cities, hoping to find work and opportunities. This photograph was taken in Dar es Salaam. You can see many young people trying to earn a living on the streets. Many of them spend the entire day selling small items. Very often they sell bottled water. You see one child selling water here, another there, and many more doing exactly the same thing. The profit from each bottle is very small. Sometimes only enough for food for a single day. Many of these young people start early in the morning and continue until late in the evening, hoping that they will sell enough to earn a little money. The problem is that there are far more young people trying to sell than there are customers to buy. As a result, many earn almost nothing. Some go to bed hungry. Some have no stable source of income. Some are forced into a daily struggle simply to survive. You can also find many young people waiting near buses and trucks, hoping that someone will offer them temporary work for the day. Their goal is simply to earn enough money to eat. For many, each day begins with the same question: what can I do today in order to earn enough for food? When I see this, I am reminded of how important education really is. A good primary education gives a child opportunities. It creates possibilities for the future. Without reading and writing skills, life becomes much harder. Without education, many doors remain closed. That is why I believe so strongly in providing children with access to quality primary education. Education does not only change one life. It can change the future of a family, a community, and even the next generation. And this brings me to the dream that has lived in my heart for many years. Whenever I think about all these challenges, I keep coming back to the same idea. What if these children had a place where they could stay, learn, and grow? This is why the idea of a primary school with a boarding facility became so important to me. For many children, the obstacle is not a lack of talent or motivation. The obstacle is access. The school is too far away. The journey is too difficult. And the conditions at home often leave little time for learning. A boarding school could change that. Children from distant villages could stay close to the school. They would have more time to study and a safe place to focus on their education. When I look at these children, I do not see only today's difficulties. I see tomorrow's possibilities. I see future teachers. I see future nurses. I see future leaders. That is why education means so much to me. A good primary education opens doors. It creates opportunities. It gives children the chance to build a better future for themselves and their families. When I think about my own life, I realize that somebody once gave me that chance. Somebody believed in me. Somebody opened a door for me. Without that opportunity, I would not be standing here today. That is why this project is so close to my heart. My dream is simple: to give these children the same chance that was once given to me. A chance to learn. A chance to grow. A chance to build a future. Perhaps one day, some of these children will return to their communities and help others. Perhaps one day, they will give the next generation the same opportunity that was given to them. If this vision touches your heart, I invite you to become part of it. Together we can help create opportunities and hope for many children. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for listening to my story, and may God bless you all.
So vielen Dank.